Hello, everyone. Thank you once again for joining this channel, My Greencard Story. On this channel, we interview people that filed for EB2-NIW, EB1A, and other employment-based green card, uh, and they have obtained their United States permanent residence card. On this channel, I'm going to interview one of our former clients. He now has his green card and he's going to share his story with us. Mr. Niyi, I'd like to welcome you on this channel. Please, can you introduce yourself? Can you tell us about your background, your occupation? Just tell us about yourself, sir.
All right, thank you. Hi, guys. My name is Niyi, and I'm pretty excited to be here today. I am a geoscientist turned computer science person. I came to the US just like many of you who are watching now as F1, as an F1 student. So I've had quite the experience and quite the journey since I came to the United States, and I'm pretty pumped to, share some of that with you today.
Okay. Thank you so much for that response. So we are here to talk about your EB2-NIW story. Obviously, it was approved, but let's start from the beginning. A lot of people come to the US from various countries, from India, China, Nigeria, and some come initially on F1 visa or H1B, and they might decide to pursue uh, permanent residency. Why did you decide to apply for or file for um, green card through EB2-NIW?
Thank you. That's a great question. So when I've actually have been opportune to go to different grad schools in the United States, and one of the things that I saw, which really piqued my interest in the EB2-NIW permanent residency route, was when I was doing my second master's. I was interviewing with oil and gas companies, and that very much dreaded question that international students get would usually come up, which is, do you have a green card? Do you have a work authorization and stuff like that? And you know how you feel. You have that panic, that immediate panic when you get that question, knowing that you probably wouldn't survive, that interview because every other conversation you're supposed to have after that would just not happen when you say that you do not have a green card. So I saw a lot of that, from interviews, and I realized that it was time for me to start seeking other means of getting my green card. Prior to considering the EB2-NIW, I had been thinking that whatever company hired me as an intern would give me a full-time position and then would be willing to file my green card. But seeing what was happening in my interviews, I saw that yes, that was most likely not going to happen. So I started looking inwards and exploring means that I could use what I have, the gamut of skills that I had acquired over time, to file for that green card by myself. And the route that comes to mind immediately was the EB2-NIW.
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned the fact that you started considering filing for EB2-NIW during your second master's. So I'm assuming that you had initially pursued and completed a first master's in the US before going for a second master. So can you tell us what's your first master's and also for your second master's?
Okay, I did my first master's in geology in a school in Texas, and then my second master's was in geophysics.
Okay.
They are both within the geosciences realm. There's a lot of programs who just call it geoscience programs, so that covers geology and geophysics. So it was geology first, and then geophysics second.
And why didn't you pursue EB2-NIW during your immediately after completing your first masters, or maybe during your first masters?
I did know about EB2-NIW when I was doing my first master's. The issue was just that there was not a lot that was known by most people about what you needed to have to qualify for EB2-NIW. So
When was that? What year? During your first
this
master's?
was 2018, 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, don't,
So a lot of
don't
people thought you needed to have a PhD at the time to apply for
exactly.
EB2-NIW. Yes.
So I tell people that I filed for my EB2-NIW in 2018, and if you went on Google and search for EB2-NIW, I think you probably find like maybe two videos. I think I found maybe one or two videos, and the video that I found was about the timeline for EB2-NIW. You can't there's barely any information on
Yeah.
YouTube about EB2-NIW as of 2018. So I understand. Okay, great. Okay, great. So I'm assuming that because you had that first master's, you were eligible for EB2-NIW based on your advanced degree, right?
That's correct.
Okay, great. So now let's talk about your petition, the content of your petition. Obviously, one document that most people struggle with is a petition letter. So one thing I've noticed that when people are writing the cover letter, they just jump straight to the substantial merit and national importance of their proposed endeavor without defining and describing their proposed endeavor. So can you tell us in a nutshell? Can you tell us what you proposed in your petition cover letter?
So at the time when I was applying for the EB2-NIW permanent residency, I was a master's student in geophysics, just like I said before. And my bachelor's was in geophysics. So I, at the time, thought that I had ample skills, geophysical skills to, solve a lot of problems that the United States, had. So basically, my proposed endeavor then was to utilize my geophysical exploration skills to help the United States stop the growing emissions rate of CO2, and also to, basically assess the suitability of reservoirs across the United States for CO2 sequestration or CO2 storage. So that was my proposed endeavor, leveraging my geophysics skills to help the United States look at reservoirs across the United States to basically determine their suitability for CO2 storage.
Okay. And how, after stating that proposed endeavor, how are you able to show that that proposed endeavor has substantial international importance? Okay, or can we say, can you tell us, based on your experience, can you tell us the difference between substantial merit and national importance?
I don't think I still remember those technical terms anymore, but I'm going to tell you national importance. You can always get national importance from the way that I show that my application, my endeavor had substantial merit was basically looking at problems that the United States was facing and seeing how you can leverage your proposed endeavor to solve that problem. So
Okay, great.
that endeavor has a substantial merit in the sense that when the United States confers a green card on you and then you get it, you'll be able to leverage those skills that you claim you have to help solve a lot of problems.
Okay.
As far as the second one, the national importance.
National importance, yes.
Okay, so I think as far as the national importance goes, the way that I was determining that was basically looking at articles and news. I think we included one article by the White House. Then that was basically, yes, it was basically imploring the White House, that's the Biden-Harris administration, was imploring the manufacturing industry in the United States to cut down on CO2 emissions at the time. So I knew that whatever I was doing, which was, assessing geological containment, which I would tell you, according to another article, was the method. It was the method of choice for containing CO2 in the sense that, I mean, there's a whole lot of methods by which you can store CO2, but putting them in geological containment or the geological containment storage option happens to be the one that can hold the highest amount of CO2 of all other options. So
Okay.
it was good that as a geoscientist, I had the skills to basically assess the suitability of those storage complexes to, determine whether they are good or not for CO2 storage. So the national importance was making sure that yes, the US is actually thinking in the direction of applying your skills to solve their problem.
Okay. Great. Great. Thank you so much. The next question is about well position. What I want you to talk about is actually the supporting document, the key supporting document, because the well position, I tell people that it's not really about what you write, it's about what you can prove. So can you tell me your key supporting document that you sent to USCIS to show that you are well positioned to advance your purpose endeavor? I need at least 3 or 4.
Great. So, yes, if you are proposing a particular endeavor, you're basically telling the US that you've acquired enough skill in a particular area of intellectual engagement to be able to, solve a problem that the United States is facing, and it would be in the interest of the United States government to give you a green card, so that you don't have to go through the hassle of getting a green card to be able to help them solve that problem by leveraging your skills. So you want to prove that you have those skills, and how can you prove that you have those skills? The first way that I was able to prove mine was show that I have done a research, an academic research in graduate school where I had leveraged that skill in, solving a lot of problems. Fortunately for me, I was working on a U.S. Department of Energy project for my master's in geophysics. So I was applying those geophysical exploration, particularly seismic exploration and seismic reservoir characterization skills for the DOE project that I was working on. So I was able to, add a paper that we published as an evidence part of my petition. I did also remember, I do also remember that I added class projects that I did that leveraged the skills, the geophysical skills. I did a project in one of my classes and it was the best project. So they had us go present at a technical conference in Wichita, Kansas. And so, yeah, I added the presentation slide and everything and the invitation to go present. I added that as part of my petition. Another thing that I did was my internship experience with, I've had internship with very big companies in the past, international oil and gas companies, back since I was in Nigeria. The offer letter for that, I added it because that shows that you actually have industry experience in that area of intellectual engagement that you claim to have, a lot of skills in. And I think that's 3. I'm trying to remember which other thing I added.
Okay. I think
Yes. As I continue to remember them, yes, I'll definitely share them.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think that's actually enough. So the last part of the cover letter is the underbalance. Okay. No, like I've seen a lot of people write that part and they don't write it very, very well. Can you tell me one of the main arguments or other that third prong? Because that underbalance section fall under the third prong of the matter of Danasa. That's why you show that underbalance, which is more like on a scale to benefit the United States to waive the requirement for a job offer and labor certificate. So can you tell me one of the key arguments for that was stated in your cover letter, like the argument where we showed that based on this benefit, it makes sense for USS to approve this petition.
From what I remember, yeah, it's been a while, but from what I remember, I do remember that the United States, as well as, there's a growing coalition of nations of the world who are trying to achieve what you call net zero CO2 emissions. And that was done as part of, or it still is done as part of what they call the Paris Agreement or the Paris Climate Deal. What they do want to, what they're proposing is to have all nations of the world reach zero CO2 emissions. And for the most part, about 107 nations of the world had, consented to that deal at the time. And most of them, the strategy by which they are hoping they would achieve that net zero deal or that net zero thing in 2050 is to start exploring geologic containment. That's something that I have, an ample amount of skill in. So that was what I was saying, that whether it's the United States or not, I am going to get to apply my skills in helping some nation of the world to achieve, that net zero thing. So it was in the interest of the United States to give me a green card so that I would be able to apply my skills to help solve those problems, to help them reach that objective. And that if another nation of the world would grasp me, then because of my contribution to helping them, achieve that goal, the US might not be leading, they might not be a leader, when it comes to that initiative. And I know the US pride themselves in being a leader when it comes to, things like that. So that was, how I was measuring things.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Now, can you tell me the role of a good and a well-crafted recommendation or letter in terms of submitting a petition for EB2-NIW or EB1A?
Recommendation letters, yes, that is your very one opportunity to have other people, tell the United States government or the Immigration or Department of Homeland Security that you have the skills that you claim that you have. These are people of repute. These are people who are, high achievers in that field. So my assumption is if you are applying for the EB2-NIW, you would be looking at professors and people who are, very well accomplished in your field, in your area of, intellectual engagement. And so these people, they have made it in that field. So you basically need their support for your application by, giving you some referral or stating that, I can beat my chest, I can bang the table that this person actually has the skill that they're claiming that they have. So it is very, very important. I would say it is one of the most important things that you should have on your application. That should be carefully done. Very, very well, carefully done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So now let's talk about your timeline. When did you turn in your I-140 petition? When did USCIS approve it?
I turned in my petition in February of 2023. Specifically, I think it was February 9. I turned it in February 6. They received it February 9. And I got a notice of approval on the 1st of May, 2023. So it was just a week under 3 months.
3 months. Wow. Yeah. I mean, nowadays it's taking like 1 year or above or over 1 year for people just filing, people that are not seeking premium processing. It's taking a longer time nowadays. Okay, that's great. So the last question that I will ask you is, what role did my green card story play in helping you in drafting your cover letter and putting some key documents together?
That was a very, very important role, I would say. Thank you for, helping out with that process. I think for about maybe a month or so, we met over Zoom to go over very important things to put together, like the requirements. I think where we started from was, me telling you, giving you basically a rundown of my academic and scholastic achievements. And then we started looking at my academic history and we're trying to figure out, okay, what part of my academic history and achievements should we highlight and leverage for, evidences in the green card application or the EB2 petition. So I think that was where we started from, and then we went over to start writing the cover letter, which was that cover letter is, I would say, is the single most important piece that tells them a lot of your story, which you need to back up, by the way, with your list of evidences. So we put the list of evidences together. I think I gave you my CV, wrote all the projects that I had done and things like that. So I think we went after that. We also went to writing the letters of recommendation,
Sure.
which for the most part, most professors would say that you should go and write it. It's not illegal, if they ask you to go write it, because they will read it, make necessary modifications, and they sign off on it. When they sign off on it, what that means is that I agree that everything on this letter was written by me. So, yeah, I think those were the things that we did, which I'm going to say it with no iota of doubt that my green card story was very, very pivotal to the success of the whole process.
Okay, great. So what there are people right now that are trying to file for EB2-NIW. I know that we still talk about this same question in the next episode or in the next part of this interview. But in terms of the petition stage, there are people that are trying to put in their petition together right now. What advice can you give them?
My basic assumption would be that people who are looking to petition for the NIW are people who are in graduate programs in the United States. One thing I would say is that those class projects, those theses, do not take them for granted. Start thinking about how you can sell yourself to the United States government with those class projects, those skills. The projects that you are doing in your classes, the conferences, the technical presentations that you are giving at conferences, they are saying a story about you. So keep those things in mind, because when you start thinking about what evidences to present for your EB2-NIW, you might have to go back in time and start thinking about all of those things. When you look at them holistically, there's definitely something that those things are saying about your academic and professional journey. So start thinking about how you can leverage, skills you've acquired by, attending certain classes, skills you've acquired by, doing your master's thesis or PhD dissertation research, and, start thinking about how you can leverage all of those things and in selling yourself to the United States. Because what the EB2-NIW petition is basically is you're selling your skills. You're telling them, hey, I have achieved all of this and I have these skills that the United States government will, that the United States government needs, So you want to start thinking about how to make that story. So for me, I did not keep all of that in mind per se until, we started looking at evidences here and there, but say that I kept it in mind and started looking at my class project as very important evidences to submit, then I guess my process would have been a little more fluid and I wouldn't have to wrap my head too much. So those class projects, your thesis research, technical presentation, and not just that, community involvement too also matter. Community, are you adjudicating on some board or some science and technology board in whatever town your university is? Get into the community, do things for the community. It's not just about research. The United States also wants to know that other than the research that you say you're doing and the skills that you've acquired, you also are useful for communities in the United States.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. And on this note, we're going to call it a day for this episode. So thank you so much, everyone that is watching us right now. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and kindly drop a comment. If you are looking for someone to help you to draft your petition cover letter or review the one that you have written, please visit us on our website and schedule a consultation with us. Our website is www.mygreencardstory.com. And our other contact information, like our social media handle and our email address, has been provided in the description section of this video. Thank you so much. Bye.